Hey, what's up, guys? So, I already did a text post about this, but I wanted to take some time to actually talk about Usagi Yojimbo. And this new story arc, issues 4 and 5, was a two-parter called Hero. And this was a really cool story arc, but it really took the second issue for me to see what was going on and what they were doing. So, in the first book, number 4, it opens with Usagi in a full samurai getup, and he's in a fight with these zombies. And the king zombie, I guess, he grabs this woman, this princess, and he's got her at knife point basically, and she keeps screaming to Usagi, my hero, my hero. So you see Usagi do some very noble and honorable things in this fight, and his ultimate goal is to rescue the princess from this king. Suddenly, the book slams shut, and you see that Usagi is in his traditional robes, and he's sitting on the side of the road with this young lady that he refers to as Lady Mura. And Lady Mura is the person that wrote this story that he was just reading. And so as she is traveling to see her father, but she doesn't have a proper escort, a samurai that would protect her on her journey. So Usagi volunteers to be her escort and protect her on her way to her father's village. As they travel along, what the conversation reveals is that she's basically running away from domestic abuse. Her husband is her and her husband were in an arranged marriage to help elevate her husband's position. Unfortunately, her writing, or I guess fortunately for her, but unfortunately for him, her writing has made her very famous and well-renowned. And she has one or two other books already published at this point. While he is an upper bannerman, the country's in a time of peace right now, and therefore they have no need for people with the skills, with sword fighting skills. So he's not that well respected, I guess, in this current time period. So he's very resentful that she's famous and he's not, basically. And he takes that out on her, it seems, physically as well as psychologically. So he recently got drunk and got very angry with her, so she left. And she's on her way to visit her father and get away from her husband for some time. So on the journey, some men approach Usagi and Lady Mura on horseback, and whenever they do, they come to find out this is Lady Mura's husband's, it's soldiers under his command that he sent to bring her home. And Usagi steps in and tells them that, they're not going to do anything. But Lady Mura, being the upstanding lady she is, she tells Usagi, this is okay. This is, my husband's people or whatever. And Usagi refuses to step down. So a battle ensues with these lowly soldiers, and Usagi is able to defeat them without even removing his sword from the sheath. And he says this is because, the lady is there. He doesn't want to show violence in front of her, yada, yada, yada. So they progress. They make it to her father's village, and they have a conversation with him where he basically tells them that, he's very disappointed in his daughter because she's not living the life of the wife of a samurai. And therefore, she's not living by the code of Bushido, which binds not only him and her husband, but also Usagi. So when her husband shows up to take her home, he's very rude and disrespectful to both her and Usagi. But Usagi decides he can't step in because this is not his place. He's bound by the same code that makes it okay for him to act like this toward his wife. So they leave, and Usagi shares a conversation with Lady Mura's father about how, they see nothing but tragedy in her future, that this isn't a good situation for her, but it is, according to the code, this is, what it is. But they both share the same sense of tragedy for her future. So Usagi leaves, he's given a horse, and he rides off into the sunset, And then we catch up with him a little bit down the road, and he comes into a clearing in the woods, and he sees Lady Mura's body laying on the ground, and her husband, Saizo, is standing there with the sword next to a horse. So Usagi knows exactly what's happened. Saizo has killed Lady Mura because of his resentment toward her. And I guess he decides he's tired of dealing with it. So Usagi kind of challenges him to a fight, but he also realizes he can't prove what really happened. Because Saizo claims that bandits showed up that Usagi had previously let go free. They showed up, they were under attack, he was unable to save her, but Usagi sees there's no signs of a struggle or a fight, so he immediately understands what has really happened. He tells Saizo they need to get her body back to her father, and Saizo jumps on his horse and rides off saying, you know, it's your problem to deal with now. Lady Mura happens to not actually be dead, she's just close to death, and she's able to tell Usagi that basically he's right, that Saizo attacked her and struck her down because of his resentment for her fame. So Usagi does return the body to her father. And there was a bit in here I forgot to bring up, but Usagi does finish the story that he was reading at the beginning of the first book. And at the end of the story, the king vampire, he gets behind Usagi and bites him in the neck. Therefore, like basically killing Usagi. So he flips his sword and stabs through himself and kills the king vampire guy. And that's the end of the story. And Usagi's disappointed in this because he feels like, oh, the hero didn't get the princess, he didn't get what he was after. And Lady Mura, the author, explains to him, not every story is a happy ending. Sometimes they end in tragedy. And so that kind of ties together the story of Lady Mura, because Usagi was her hero throughout this story, but he was unable to save her in the end. And also, there's a really cool twist of tragedy at the end of the story as well, but I'll let you read that part. Now, what's really cool about Usagi Yojimbo is that Stan Sakai put so much dedication and research into actual Japanese history, rules, laws, culture, before he even writes any of this. So Lady Mura is actually, I guess a metaphor for an actual character that existed in ancient Japan around 1000 AD, I believe. Her name was Lady Murasaki, and she wrote what is considered the very first novel called Tale of Genji. It's a very renowned book. It's a great story, and I myself have actually got into reading and researching this story and that particular time in Japanese history because of this story from Stan Sakai. So yeah, this book really blew me away. This story arc blew me away. I really enjoyed it. I really liked what was in it. And I hope that's enough of an overview to get other people interested. I highly suggest you be reading Usagi Yojimbo because it is well researched. It's very good storytelling, and every story is a ton of fun while bringing a lot of learning and information to it. So that's all I have on this one, but I really wanted to talk about it because I'm so excited about everything I've been researching as far as ancient Japan and Tale of Genji and Lady Murasaki and everything like this. So check this out. Great books, great story, great character. Really enjoyed it. It is what it is.